Yeah, I hope he's here soon. He said he was on, so. Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Sorry about that. I was trying to
Oh,
get my together.
yeah, you're fine. You're fine. No worries about the time. So, thank you for joining us today. And this is just a continuation to kick off our Martin Luther King Jr. commemoration that was all planned through the MLK committee. And we appreciate Trey's willingness to join in our conversation today. So, just to begin, do you mind sharing the story of how you became involved in any particular cause or movement?
Sure. I can remember the first time I actually was swayed or kind of moved to actually fight for other people's rights or other people's identities to kind of be included within whether it's an educational institution or whether it's just society. I remember firstly back to middle school. I went to a all boys school, predominantly black school, where their mantra was to kind of educate the entire student to create them to be men for others. And so we had these kind of pillars. We called them the Ignatian Code. One of them was to be committed to doing justice. And what that meant was you had the commitment to put yourself on the back burner, and you had the commitment to put yourself in someone else's shoes to be able to kind of take over their life and understand the ways in which oppression or the ways in which gratification or just being accepted are, I guess, interwoven into their lives so that you have more or less an understanding of what they're going through and how you may be able to be a solution, or how you might be able to conjure up a solution by knowing what their experiences are and what their pasts are. And so just by going to St. Ignatius and kind of wanting to become like St. Ignatius and the Ignatian Code, committed to doing justice, making sure that I was being religious, being spiritual, making sure that I was making those connections with people on that spiritual level to ensure that to let them know, that we're not out here by ourselves, that there is someone out here fighting for you, just as much as you're fighting for them, that this is very much a reciprocated type of relationship. If you want someone to be there for you, you have to be there for them. And so that was just one kind of thing that just stuck with me as I migrated towards high school. And in high school, I went to, again, a private institution, but this time it spun. I was now the minority. And so being a minority, of course, minoritized communities, because no one's truly a minority, you're just minoritized. And so being a minoritized community member, it just kind of put the, I guess, as we say at Bucknell, it put the pressure on the backs of the minoritized community to make sure that they were being exposed and to make sure that they were being highlighted within the school. And so, again, my love for diversity had kind of began my passion for social justice, making sure that people on the campus, whether they were white, whether they were black, whether they were LGBTQ, making sure that they had their voices heard and that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with. We know that high school is a place where a lot of social systems are created and people start to form their friends and their cliques and things of that nature. And so as a way in which to basically promote social justice, we use that social hierarchy to make sure that the cool kids, quote unquote, the athletes, the jocks, making sure that they knew that as their number one social role, according to them, that they needed to be much more ambient and much more assertive of how to help those like the theater kids who weren't getting as much accreditation or as much social clout, quote unquote, as they were getting. And so it was really just from being able to attend Diversity Club, being able to attend a lot of the conferences that we went to. I was able to go to 3 national high school conferences where I learned to become a facilitator and learn to kind of have these deep conversations surrounding race, surrounding gender, surrounding just identity and all. And so very much it just kind of taught me to, again, how do you step into the shoes of someone else and understand their experience to be able to reflect on their experience and again provide that solution. And so much so that now I'm at Bucknell to where my work is continuously to grow. I'm able to major in anthropology, which is the study of people, the study of cultures, the way in which people come together and synthesize their individual identities to create the common society, as well as education, the way in which people are able to teach others, able to get them to understand something that might be foreign or different to them. And so by pairing those two, I guess, perspectives and those two academic bodies of ideas, you are able to kind of understand the ways in which cultures are affected by the lack of education. And one of my favorite things to kind of talk about within this culture of deprivation within the educational industry, I always like to kind of go towards the finance department, because I feel as though people of color, people who come from impoverished areas, do not have the opportunity to gain financial wealth or to be financially healthy. And so one of the things I've been doing throughout my 4 years, I've been working together with my former, well, it's called the Bridges program, which they help to bring in fourth graders and work with them all the way up into their college careers. And basically what they're doing is, during the summer while you're out of school, they're providing you summer enrichment as well as social justice activities, you know, being able to go out and do community service within the neighborhood, or being able to go out, you know, to Our Daily Bread, which is a homeless shelter, and create meals and things of that nature and serve meals to people, as well as working towards college, where they're helping you with scholarships, they're helping you find jobs, they're helping you find tutors and things of that nature. It was just so synonymous for me to want to reach back and kind of help them. And so one of the things I've been able to do is offer them the personal finance courses that I've been able to do via Zoom, where I'm teaching these kids who are basically first years and sophomores in college, and I'm teaching them about, you know, what does it mean to save for college? What is a credit card? What is a loan? What is a Parent Plus loan? How do we save up for a 1099 or things of that nature when we're trying to save up, like a 529, not a 1099. Still get my financial burdens together, but okay. A 529 plan, you know, how do we save up for our children's education if they pursue higher education? And so I just been very much comforted by the fact that there have been people at Bucknell who don't just look like me, or who are ready to fight for me. And that's just one thing that I always thought that I might not get at Bucknell, because of course we cater to a different type of demographic sometimes, and that demographic might become oppressive or things of that nature. But it's nice to see, after 4 years of being behind the brick and mortar, that there are people out there who are willing to fight and willing to do things like we're doing today, you know, going live, going before the people, whether it's 8 or whether it's 1 million. We're out there getting our faces out there and making sure people know, especially what the origins are of their social justice, you know, warriorship. Why did they become a social justice warrior? Why did they want to put the hats of empathy on and talk about the experiences of other people, just so that they can provide solutions for them as well? And so really just, that's my story. I started out in middle school. I saw that there was a pain in my demographic of students, Black male students especially. There was this pain that we weren't graduating on time, or we weren't graduating at all. We were getting kicked out of college. A lot of my close friends from, middle school, a lot of my close friends from middle school have also passed on. So just having those juxtapositions of being a student of color, coming from a very bustling urban city that's sometimes considered a safety risk, just being able to, you say, I made it out. I made it to the middle of nowhere, Bucknell, but I still made it out of Baltimore. And I'm just happy because Bucknell has given me such a great opportunity to, you know, just advocate for people. I work on the Bucknell Institution of Public Policy, whether I'm writing for the Bucknellian or we're creating P10 policies to get people engaged about social justice or about public policy. I'm just so happy that I've been able to kind of play an instrumental role and kind of keeping people, I guess, excited about fighting for others.
Well, awesome. Thank you. And then you kind of mentioned it before, but do you want to dive a little deeper into what your involvement or your day-to-day looks like?
Sure. Well, today my day-to-day looks much more like getting ready for school. But over the break, I was able to actually continue my Zoom chats with my students from the Bridges program. And I was able to, again, do something that was kind of unique, something that I was doing in my first semester as a senior, which is this thing called Tribe Academy. And Tribe Academy, what that is basically an externship opportunity for students to come and be put before CEOs or major senior level executives of major companies. So we had Netflix, we had Fidelity Investments, we had Audible by Amazon, we had Quora and things of that nature. So just having that opportunity as a student, as a senior level student, and being able to kind of push that onto first years and sophomores, that very much kind of gave me my next plan for what I wanted to do with this social justice type of background that I have. One of the things I kind of played with my with the liaison from Bridges is this idea of emerging adulthood. That was my entrepreneurial plan, is to create a system where children between the ages, not children, they're adults, adults between the ages of 20 to 30, one of the things we kind of talk about in education is this idea of the emerging adult. You know, what does it mean after the Great Depression that children are now staying basically with their parents past the age of 30 because they don't have the social capital, they don't have the network, or they don't have the physical monetary means to be able to move out and be on their own. And so one of the things I want to be able to provide for them is, you know, one of the things is structure of housing. Being able to know that when you're in college, or if you choose to go to college or trade school, that you have secure housing. You don't have to rely on the fact that you're a minimum wage making worker who doesn't have enough to pay for rent and food, or enough to do this and live. And so just taking away that burden of knowing where your next meal is going to come from, or knowing where you're going to sleep your head at, I feel as though that, again, from psychology, the Maslow hierarchy of needs, that takes care of those basic security needs. And then we're able to start branching up to the new levels that of security that these students, I really like to say children, basically would need. And so one of the next things after providing the food and providing the homing structure, I want to also provide them again with the finance background. I feel as though people within the colored community, people within impoverished communities, we have a hard time trying to understand finances because it's very much a third world thing to us. If you're not a part of the 1% or a part of the percent that's basically running the bustling of the economy, then you're basically part-time, or you're flipping between jobs, you're trying to make ends meet for your kids, things of that nature. So life is hitting you very fast. Well, I want to take an opportunity to slow down life for those people, to make sure that they know that they have choices, and that those choices can be things that they want or things that they need, and not just, you know, having to live day to day trying to figure out where their next, you know, monetary stipend is going to come from for them to feed their kids or for them to feed themselves. So emerging adulthood is something that is going to be on the works. I'm very excited. I get to do it for my education internship. And so I'm very much just trying to, you know, start up my own type of entrepreneurial opportunity to be able to just leave behind for other people, and just hoping that this can be something that's done in every state. You know, people just looking at the emerging adults and just being able to help them. Because right now, during this pandemic, whether we like to say it or not, emerging adults are very much going through it. If you're a student and you are a dependent of your parent, you're not getting any type of financial stipend from the government. If you're an old person and you're also dependent, you're not getting a financial stipend. And so how do we, you know, help these communities better understand and better maneuver through the pandemic? We have to start providing opportunities for them. We can't just cripple a college student where they're still paying out loads sums of money for their education and expect them afterwards to pay that back. And so just trying to figure out those ways, again, with the changing of the presidency, the changing of the Senate, everything flipping. It's now a time for stuff to actually get done because everything's on one accord now. And so it's just, I'm very excited because we haven't seen this in a while, or I haven't seen it in my lifetime. I'm only 21. So it just took 21 years for us to get to a point where we can actually start having some effective change. Granted, it came during a time of a pandemic, but I'm just happy that it's finally a time for people who want to fight for others to come out and not be closeted anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, great. Awesome. And then just one last question for you. What would you say sustains you?
What sustains me? I would have to say what sustains me are people. I'm very much a people person. I love making people happy, and I love when people like me. I love being liked. I don't know why, but it's just one of the passions that I enjoy. I enjoy walking into a room not knowing anybody, but then after a couple of hours walking out knowing everybody's story. And I guess that's what drew me towards anthropology, just knowing the ways in which people behave and how I have to behave around people in order to get the positive solutions that I want, or the positive knowledge or things of that nature. Because I always enjoy the student-teacher relationship. I feel that everyone has something that they can offer, but also everyone has something that they can teach. And so if we continue to play with those relationships of being a student and being a teacher, and then, you know, having those students migrate towards being teachers and teaching the next right students, then there's a cycle of basically greatness that can come out of that. If we put together our minds and continue the cycle, instead of depriving kids of the social capital or the cultural capital that they need, but instead instilling it in them as they matriculate through school, that would be a great opportunity to kind of continue those relationships. And that very much is what sustains me, you know, wanting to learn, but also wanting to teach. And so, yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. And thank you to everybody who watched. Hopefully we'll we'll meet back again at 4 p.m. So I hope you can stick around and watch that.
Of course.
Thank you again. Thank you again. That was a
Thank
great interview. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.